Hi, everybody. Welcome to our episode today. This is the Rethink Life series, and we are sponsored by the Institute of Metaphysical Science, and our website is right down there, and you can see that. Go there for any materials or find out what you can participate in and what else is going on. So that's it. Today, we are talking about personal finance. Fun topic, right? So personal finance means, do you have enough money to pay your bills? Okay, maybe so, maybe not, right? So whatever your issue is there, whatever the circumstances surrounding your personal finance, whether you're wondering, God, how do I pay the bills this month? How do I keep juggling everything? Oh my God, I'm going to go nuts.
It might be investments.
Right. It could be investments. It could be, oh my gosh, well, how do I plan for my future? Should I even think about that? What does scientific metaphysics have to say about that? So today we wanted to really look at that because we know that there's a lot of people that are sitting there wondering how you even make ends meet right now, that they're in that situation. There's other people that are in different situations. So, risky investments. What do you think about that? Cryptocurrency. What do you think about that? I mean, there's all these things that are out there. So what is scientific metaphysics' view on all this realm that we can label personal finance? So anything else you want to add to that? But that kind of sets the stage for the conversation. So anything you want to add, Betty?
You pretty well covered it, but we do find that personal finance occupies everybody's attention at one point or another.
Right.
So we'll take a look at what is the lens of metaphysical science lending to that aspect of human living.
Right. So as you're listening, I'm going to invite you to listen actively, in which case you can enter in a comment or a question into the comments area, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, enter them in. We'll see them come in. There will be a little bit of a delay, but we can make this more of a dialogue. So I invite that engagement, please. And then also, if you like the conversation or whatever, you can click the like button, thumbs up, or the heart. You can do either one of those things, and that would be also appreciated. All right, so let's dive in with the first quote from Mind is the Athlete, Betty Albee's book, page 190. Nothing seen, heard, or felt will be reliable or responsible since it is not causative. So we're talking about personal finance here. What does that have to do with this sentence?
Well, when I talk about money and investments and cryptocurrency and all the particles that fill up those items, I know that I'm talking about the seen, heard, and felt, which is the world of language. It's the way I perceive myself and my world. Mm-hmm. It's not a causative language, but it occurs because there is something about the being that has me be that handles that. And so we want to look for a moment or two during this session on what that is that impacts my income, my employment, my investments, my planning for this and that and whatever else. There's a link that connects all of that, and that's what we want to touch on this evening.
Okay, very, very good. All right. So, and what we're basically saying is that all of the stuff around personal finance has to deal with the human picture.
Yep.
And that's very different than the divine causative reality that shapes all of that.
Well, very different how?
Uh-huh. Exactly. That's my question.
Well, the thing that the thing that you're pointing to in that statement is that there is something divine being, we'll call it, the God idea, we'll call it. There's something about that isn't the seen, heard, and felt. Mm-hmm. But with that, or from that, or as that, however you want to say it, all of your living evolves.
Yes.
And when I return to ground zero, which is perfection present, and stand there, allowing my language world to show up appropriately, I find that the language that answers all those needs shows up with very little concern. It isn't that I won't work. It isn't that I won't have a job and a paycheck. And it isn't that I won't invest. I'll do all of those things. But I won't do them from the standpoint of some limited two-legged creature who's trying to make the best of things and hopes she won't go broke.
Right.
And wants to be able to pay her bills and all that sort of thing. So the focus is, what is it that has me be, do, and have differently because of the lens of science in my work?
Right.
And the difference is that I don't look to the language picture, the job, the paycheck, the investments, and so on. I don't look to that for my well-being. I come from perfection. Well-being is established when I show up. Whether I live it consciously or not is another question.
Right.
If I pay no attention, I may go through a lot of substandard stuff in my human living while I discover myself as who I am,
Right.
rather than the two-legged thing I see when I look in the mirror.
Okay.
So the living of that varies for each one. And it is your devotion of thought that makes the difference, because the thoughts are things.
Yes.
What the thought is, the thinking presence is the being having Betty occur, if I can put it that way.
Yeah. So when we look at personal finance,
Yep.
what we want is freedom in living peace and joy and power, regardless of the look.
Yes. We don't want to be a victim of concern for the picture.
Right.
Concern for how it looks, my job.
Yeah. Sleepless nights about, am I going to be able to pay that bill tomorrow?
That's right. Or, oh dear, I think I invested in the wrong thing. I'm going to lose my shirt.
Right.
We don't want to live that scenario.
Right. Okay. So given that, in mind as the athlete, you say the facts acknowledged as true show up graphically as the language of your day-to-day living in the ratio of their occupancy of your thoughts.
That's right.
So the devotion of thought.
Yep.
So if what you're worried about and all the things you're concerned about take up the majority of your thought, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, it's going to show up graphically in your day-to-day language. Is that what this says?
Pretty much.
Okay. So don't think those thoughts.
Yeah, don't go there. When you go there,
So it's like, just don't go there. But there's more to it than that, isn't there?
oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So talk to me more about the what more to it. Because I mean, we can say flippantly, yeah, don't go there. You know, thoughts are things, it's all in your head. Don't think that way. And then people turn to positive thinking.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And that's not what we're saying either.
No.
Okay, good.
Positive thinking doesn't ever leave the realm of language.
Yeah.
Positive thinking is saying there will be enough money there to pay the bills. Well, they haven't gone anywhere that's causative yet. So
Right.
There's no power in that.
Okay. So then if we go back to this quote, what it says is the facts acknowledged as true show up graphically as the language of your day-to-day living.
Yep.
So the facts of being, perfection functioning, abundance, whatever that is, that the facts.
Whole, complete, joyous, free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Acknowledged, meaning you're willing to say, yeah, I get it. It's only perfection functioning. Huh. And this is what it looks like. Isn't that interesting? They show up graphically as the language of your day-to-day living in the ratio of occupancy of your thoughts.
Yes. So what we want to do is recognize the being us, in place of the two-legged animal that looks like us.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that distinction?
Yeah.
Yeah, the being us is the God idea, the perfection present, the not seen, heard, felt reality that exists, constituting everything that is and everything that seems to be, that we think is what we're looking at.
Right.
What we think is what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
But the lens of science says that's only the way it looks from your point of view. The fact of perfection may be something you have no idea what that includes.
Right.
But you can acknowledge that that's where it is. That's where I live and move and have being. That's sourcing me all the time.
Yeah.
And then you can depend on it and let go of your concern about the look of it.
Right.
In that freedom, abundance identifies your being.
Yep. Okay. Now, in your book, Mind is the Athlete, you say, in the self-evolution of being, the language experience, meaning our appearance world, appears to disappear and reappear in fairer form. So let's unpack this a bit.
Yeah, well, important in that sentence is the fact that we do not have a repaired or improved previous situation. Whatever was is gone. Being is right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. It is not, oh, this gets improved, now it's here. No, it's gone.
Because you can't improve perfection.
That's right. And it's successive moments of perfection that is having you be.
So it's distinct, discrete events that look like continuity.
That's right.
In
It's
the human picture.
right now, so fast. Yeah.
Okay.
But
all
it
right.
is. Yeah.
So in the self-evolution of being, the language, the stuff we see, our circumstances, all the things around us, do I have enough? If I'm making enough, blah, 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 appears to disappear and reappear in fairer form, ever made new, every moment made new. It's right. The stuff, it's the only way to explain. You're walking, here you are, you're doing your thing, and all of a sudden there's an answer. There's an answer.
Quite often, unexpectedly, or far different than you would ever have figured out as a two-legged animal. But
without the efforting and the struggle and the worry and all of that. So it's about getting yourself really grounded in science, in the divinity present, in the being that you are, not the circumstances you face. Because as soon as you get into the circumstances you face, you start wanting to rearrange the furniture of those circumstances. Have more of something, have better of something, have different of something. It's where judgment and opinion gets in there. And you forget, and you've lost sight of the divinity, the perfection that shapes your ends.
Yes, and you have begun to buy into that by all my energy and figuring things out and theorizing and so on, I can make it better.
Right.
That's the delusion in human living.
Okay.
It does not make it better.
Yeah.
It's only when that evolution of experience is the showing up of my acknowledged facts.
Okay.
Rather than my frantic human searching.
Right. Very good.
Yeah,
very good. And I'll just remind people, enter your comments in the question box, in the comment box, so we can get those and answer any questions. And if you're liking this conversation, thumbs up or a heart, that'd be great. But at any rate, on we go. We'd love to have your involvement and participation as well. So in Christian Science Re-Explored, Margaret Laird said, perception is the action of truth and constitutes the being of each individual and is not something belonging to it. So perception is the action of truth, constitutes the individual, not something that belongs to the individual. So perception doesn't belong to an individual.
Yep. It's It's not like my perception. It's the perception available at the moment.
Right.
And if I claim it as a two-legged animal, well, Betty thinks this. I'm shortchanging myself a lot.
Okay.
When I can acknowledge that that may be the way it looks. So, okay,
Right.
on we go. The ground of being is perfection, and whatever the perception is, it's standing in perfection.
Right. So let's bring this back to personal finance. So
Yep.
let's say I'm worried about that I'm going to have enough to pay the bills.
Right.
And I'm worrying about it. It's keeping me sleepless at night. Oh my God, it's coming due. I have my house payment or something coming due. So what is the source of freedom here?
Discipline.
Okay, discipline. Discipline to what?
Discipline to the facts as you know them. And incidentally, every level of experience, every single one can demonstrate this science living. You don't have to be an Einstein to do it. It's not rocket science. It's science. Fundamental science.
Right. So I go back to your original statement, the facts acknowledged is true.
Yeah, they show up as your world of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm going to devote myself to concern and worry and madly scrambling about, searching for a better solution, trying to find some kind of an answer that somehow will solve my problem, I'm going to be assigning myself. I'm just going to be sentencing myself to a road of hard labor, figuring it all out and getting there. Not saying I won't make it, because I will, determination. But if I want to be painless about it, I can look and say, wait a minute. There are phrases, I think of Bible phrases like, it's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say, now get busy and get your shovel and start digging the hole.
Right. And Deborah made a comment also, says, brings to mind, be still and know I am God.
That's right. And the only I am there is the God idea. Human beings go around saying I this and I that. But in Mary Baker Eddy's science that she presented, she gives I and I am as a definition of the God idea.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. That's what it is you be. And you call it I, but you often think the I is the thing in the mirror.
Right.
It's not the thing in the mirror at all.
It's the divinity present showing up as you.
Yeah, but it is present.
Yes. Well, that's all that's present, really.
Yeah. And it's entirely present.
Right. So in Christian Science Re-Explored, we have another quote, man is, but what he is continually being revealed.
Remember that?
Naturally, this is felt from the human standpoint. So man is, but what he is continuously being revealed. So who we are, what we are is continuously being revealed, meaning that's that whole appear, disappear, reappear in fair form always. And we just think there's continuity there. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's continuously being revealed. And the good news is, since it's discontinuous, who's to say what that next appearing is? Next appearing is. It's only our own belief that it has to follow a continuity that pulls that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can hear Mrs. Laird saying, pay attention to your seeing.
Right.
And the reason she says that is because that's the only thing that ever makes a difference.
Right. Well, there's more to this whole quote.
What I'm being.
Right. The quote that I want to do is, naturally, this is felt from the human standpoint as dissatisfaction, unhappiness, impoverishment, but from the divine, the feeling is satisfaction, happiness, and abundance.
And that's regardless of what the picture is presenting.
Right.
Because the picture is just language. And if you are concerned and upset and wrapped up in your two-legged picture, you're missing the whole point. because that very same thing, without anything changing at all, can be lived as divine perfection present. No need, no unhappiness, no concern. All is well.
Right.
And in that stance, solutions show up just all the time.
Right. And it doesn't cause it. And then when you're clear about who you are, there's no need to worry. There's no need to fret. There's no need to have sleepless nights.
Well, if you're clear who you are, you're generating perfection yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, you are.
That's right.
So in Science and Health, Mary Baker Eddy said, it is the all-hearing and all-knowing mind to whom each need of man is always known and by whom it will be supplied.
That's right.
So unpack that a bit. That's a little dense.
Yeah. Well, mind is another word for the God idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a universal intelligence functioning all the time. And that all hearing, all knowing, all seeing mind, intelligence functioning, shows up in a language that answers your human need.
Mm-hmm.
It's mind or divine love that meets the human need, not money, investments, or property, or any of that stuff.
Right.
That's just the way you see it. But the way it is being whole and complete, perfect, coming from perfection.
Right.
The reflection of the God idea in action.
Yeah. Okay. Now, in Science and Health, Mary Baker Eddy also says soul has infinite resources with which to bless mankind. And I will tell you, when you're stuck in the look of, I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills, you might say, okay, soul can have infinite resources, but what about me? Right?
And so what about me?
And so what about me? That's right. Because that is.
Are you talking about me, Betty? Or are you talking about me, the I am?
Mm-hmm.
You see, if you're talking about me, Betty, yeah, I'm going to be tearing my hair out over all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about I am, it's infinite, it's absolutely perfect, whole, complete, entire, fulfilled, satisfied, right now.
Right. And who knows what that next moment will reveal.
That's right. Because it's always revealing you. And your whole life is all about revealing you, to you, for you, by you.
Yeah, journey of self-discovering.
That's right.
Right. Okay, so then in Science and Health, Mary Baker Eddy said, so-called material law cannot trespass upon God-given powers and resources.
Yeah. So I can intellectually hear some of these scientific statements, but I also can begin to cope with that any way it shows up, it cannot interfere with the power present as the reflected God idea in action.
Yeah, it's powerful beyond measure.
That's right.
Yeah, and if you knew that, would you have your life look the way it does?
Well, it's in the ratio that you know that you have your life the way it is.
I like that. It's in the ratio, because that goes back to the quote we had. In the ratio, their occupancy of your thoughts.
That's right.
So if who I am and my thoughts are just littered with lack and fear and all that stuff, then no wonder I've got the picture I've got.
Yep.
So get with the picture.
Well,
Get with the idea.
Had a favorite saying. She said, every day is a new beginning. Every moment is the world made free.
Yes. Yeah, very good. I like that. Okay. So Science and Health, Mrs. Eddy said, know thyself, and God will supply the wisdom and the occasion for a victory over evil. over lack, over whatever is burdening you.
More than one intelligence or one source.
Yeah. So that's just kind of self-explanatory.
That sums it all up.
It does sum it all up. But what we've got here is a quote from the Bible, Psalms 8:4. What is man that thou art mindful of him?
Yeah, and said a little differently, what is man that thou art mindful of him?
Oh, I like that. Say that one more time.
What is man that thou art mindful of him?
What is man that thou art mindful of him?
That's right.
I like that. All right. That's all we've got for today. Hopefully that sheds some openings into the personal finance realm, if that's what's been bugging you. And there's so many other realms this also applies to, right? So we will see you next week, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll be here on Wednesday of next week. And go ahead. What do we have? Some announcements?
Well, we have, I just wanted to throw out what we're going to talk about next week.
Okay.
Things like food and diet and everything to do with nutrition and so on.
Okay, so that's what we're going to focus on next time round. So until then, we hope to see you then. Thank you so much for the participation and the feedback. We enjoy all of it, and we will see you here next time. If you have any questions, please go out to the scientificmetaphysics.org website. We're sponsored by the Institute of Metaphysical Science, supported by your donations and your support. So anyways, we look forward to talking again next week. Until then, have a great week.
Bye-bye.